outstretched hand, smiling eyes, comfort
Call a witness from Lucy Laney School heard 3-4 shots.
People from all walks of the earth have little to no hope for public education, little to no hope for children of color, and definitely little to no hope for North Minneapolis.
For more than a decade, students here have performed far below state and federal education standards.
We're North Side, and people might think that we're just bad and stuff, and we don't know what we're doing. We're not smart, we're not intelligent.
There might be other bad people, but this is where all the good people go.
Because we're gonna see, what you don't know, what you did know, and we are going to. So I think it could appear very transactional on the outside to an outsider looking in, because it looks like it's all about a job, but it is all about a job. And I do the same thing with graduation rates. So we're very clear with ninth graders. This is what you need in order to graduate by the end of your senior year. And I'm always like, whenever we're distracted or whenever we're off track or something like that, I'm always constantly coming back to that. We have a job to do. We have a very short period of time to do it. We have got to do our jobs. Yeah.
So, but the transactional piece, it doesn't feel transactional in the sense of like capitalism transactional.
I don't believe it does. And I hope that my students, staff, and families don't believe it does either. But I just realize as I'm saying it, that it kind of is, because that's the way I'm presenting it. Is we have a very big job to do in a very short period of time. Mm-hmm. We have a sense of urgency, and anything that's going to distract us from that, be it Operation Metro Surge, to anything else, right? A snow day,
Mm-hmm.
All right, okay, this is what's happening right now. This is what we have to do about it, because this is the period of time, and the time is ticking. And I feel like constantly reminding my students about what that looks like, right? So what it looks like when you graduate, I'm constantly talking about caps and gowns and walking the stage. And your hair is going to be done, and your shoes are going to be fly, and your fit's going to be amazing. And, just always, so that I'm putting in their minds this vision, right? And we're always amping the seniors up, and we invite the whole school to the senior award ceremony. And we, just this regular, like, this is the goal, this is the goal, this is the goal, because afterwards, you do whatever you want, right? You can go become a billionaire content creator. You could go become a billionaire, I don't know what you want to do. Do you want to be an architect? Do you want to, whatever, but that doesn't matter. You got to have your high school diploma, and then you go pick and choose. Mm-hmm. So really keeping like that end in mind, has made like the purpose, right? Because even as parents, we do that with our kids, right? Like, what is the purpose? Because regularly as parents, you have a hate me now, thank me later mentality, right? Like, it's just, I love you, and I'm not supposed to be your friend, and I'm not going to let you do this the easy way out, because I'm not going to have people talk about me as a mom, be like, why did that mom, and it's the same thing as a principal. I tell the kids all the time, like, hate me now, thank me later, right? Like, I'm not going to be your friend. I'm not going to give it to you the easy way out, because the last thing I need is for you to come back here 10 years from now and be like, why didn't you prepare me better? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it's just constantly keeping that end in mind.
Mm-hmm. But starting with the foundation of love them first. I don't want to, it's still there. It's like the bookends, like love them first is still here.
Yeah.
Talk to me about you as a learner. I mean, getting to this place in your career, maybe even from, the child in you, like, how did you find your place, or who motivated you to feel like in school settings you belonged, and you belonged enough to end up being a school leader?
Yeah, I think two things come to my mind, one kind of practical and one more theoretical. So I distinctly remember teachers that gave me a strong sense of belonging and capacity and ability. it's like by osmosis. How can those good educators do it? It's like by osmosis. I remember when I fell in love with my husband. He's a Minneapolis police officer, and I had such a I don't know, just wasn't really super fond of cops, to be honest. And I just remembered working with him and watching how he interacted with the community, right? And it was like, I don't know how to put my finger on it, but it's almost like you see me, you see us, right? You don't see like you are us. And I feel like good teachers do the same thing. And I had some of those really good teachers who like they saw me deeply, and I saw myself in their eyes, that they saw me and they saw my humanity. They saw my good days and my bad days. And really made me feel like that sense of belonging. But more from a theoretical perspective, I kind of want to go back to that imposter syndrome, because I think that we're most familiar with this idea of imposter syndrome, right? Like when you go to a party and you feel like you don't belong, right? Like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of, rich people here, or I don't know which fork to use, or, whatever. And I really do feel that there is a layer of imposter syndrome, a real significant, thick layer that impacts kids of color in particular, but all children really, but especially kids of color in our education system. And I kind of also see where my skin complexion and me being of mixed race, biracial, Black and white, has contributed to my sense of self-efficacy. I read an article, this will be years ago, when Barack Obama got the presidency, and it was arguing that proximity to whiteness can actually reduce barriers for people of color, especially African Americans. And I was like, wait, what? And so I dug deeper into it. And what the author was doing is they were theorizing that there is a fearlessness that a child who is raised by a white person will have about whiteness. And I was like, huh. And so they were going on to say that there's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, like this kind of epigenetic generation to generation DNA thing that's going to happen in a lot of us as people of color, just like an aversion that African American descendants of slaves are going to have to a German Shepherd. Right?
Mhm.
There's this aversion, and it's been scientifically proven that it's there for a reason, and it's a survival instinct. And it says that German Shepherds are dangerous. And so, you can see one and you were not even alive during the civil rights movement, and you have an aversion, you have a fear, and that's there to keep you safe. Well, the same thing can happen with white people, right? That epigenetic generation to generation DNA reality can still be there, an aversion to say like they're not safe, they could be dangerous, run away, stay closed down. And that if you have a child of color that has this healthy, safe proximity to whiteness, that generational scientific reality that they were born with and had no control over just got interrupted. And it just got disrupted. Because this I don't have to be afraid of white people. And I think that has impacted some of us. I think that that's a privilege that I've never taken for granted. That in addition to my skin complexion, I had the gift of being raised by and around some really healthy, beautiful white people. And so whatever type of genetic or generational fear, or this idea of I'm not good enough or I'm an imposter, has been eliminated or decreased in me. And I think that with all honesty and transparency, that has aided me in being able to kind of push through some ceilings.
Yeah. I love that. Like thinking about belonging. Belonging is not a tiered system. Everyone deserves the same access to belonging, and we don't adjust it because of bad things that have happened in the world, racism, violence against any group of people, starting with Black people in the United States, Native American. We don't have to adjust. And too often in school systems, I think there is that. Like, you can find, I can go to Chicago Public Schools and ask them for their strategic plan, and they've been hit over the head so many times about not having the right supports for different demographics. So they will put in their strategic plan, my white students are going to hit, I'm going to have 99% of my white students hit, let's say, level 3 or 4 on something like a state test, 4 being the highest. And now my Latinx or Black students are going to get 34% or 49% or whatever. And it's like, I understand you think that you're trying to be realistic when you're talking about growth.
Yeah.
But if that's the game we're supposed to play, then
Yeah.
that's not the right measurement. Like, then
Yeah.
let's set that test aside and use something internally that really shows that we're dealing with full human beings that are totally capable. Because if we're creating, a marathon where if we run this school and our school is a marathon towards a 8th grade finish line or high school finish line, if we're playing the game where white kids start and end right here, then we got the wrong thing set up. I understand, of course, there are outside, pressures, but the more people that speak out against it, or the more people that add internal measurements that complicate the external, I think the better off we'll be.
Yeah.
Last question, because I know I've had you here for a long time, but it's not the citizen, and I know you've touched on it, but it is the family member. It is what do you want for all the children in your life, or maybe the adults who just didn't belong in institutions, and now here we are. Like what are your hopes and dreams, or what does your activism look like to make sure that?
Yeah. So the way that I show up, I feel is a lot to do with my own personal experiences. The way that I taught, the type of teacher that I was striving to be the type of teacher I wanted or needed in my life. The type of principal that I am is often shaped by the type of principal I wanted as a teacher. Not necessarily as a student. I kind of remember my principals, especially the ones I got in trouble with. But very much I feel like the guiding light for me is in how I show up is what I needed or wanted. And then also when I had my own children, right? What kind of principal did I want for my children? What kind of teacher did I want for my children? And what kind of outcomes did I want for my children? And then how can I show up now as principal, right? To try and honor that, So I think I've tried to take all of my own personal experiences and apply them as much as possible. And I do think in roles of public service, I do think in roles of taking care of people, medicine, law enforcement, education in particular, we all have had some sort of personal experiences that can help drive our professional work. So that being said, I would say that where I feel led right now, gosh, I would really love to see us move away from some of the standardized assessments. I know that we have to have, expectations, but I really struggle with, diagnosing kids and the diagnostics of, and I don't think it's serving us well. I really don't. Right. So I think there's just so many layers of problems that come with standardization, and ranging from, losing kids very early on to, killing a growth mindset, to just to be honest, what feels like kind of the racism in a lot of it. It feels a little bit like maybe we quietly, secretly like to always talk about the achievement gap because, it satisfies our hidden superiority complexes, right? Because my gosh, I mean, we sure do talk about it a lot, and I think sometimes we don't realize how much we are reinforcing, the white power in the room every time we do that. Also, I feel strongly that the role of the principalship, I just worry about the role of the principalship. I think the farther I get along, I mean, you're 29 in education, and I remember some good principals when I was a kid or a teacher. And, I feel like the work itself has become unattainable. And I worry that the right people that we need for the principalship, we're not attracting them or retaining them anymore, or sustaining them very well because of how the work has evolved. And so those two things weigh really heavily on my mind. Just the boxing in of kids with a very, standardized driven approach to education, and then losing, the passion and the principalship, given the heaviness of what the role now calls for.
Yeah. I love how you tie together all of those things, the citizen, the school leader, the educator, because these are, with public service, these are roles, like being a principal, being a superintendent, these are things that society should worry about. Like, we want our principals to be well taken care of. We want them to have a team, to be supported when it's collaborative, not for that to be extra work for them. So I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I know you're very busy. You are moving the world over there. So thanks for all you do.
Thanks, Max. Thanks for taking the time to try and dig into these things. Somebody needs to.
We can't stop talking about it, because I love your point. We can't keep navel gazing the achievement, even if we call it an opportunities gap. We got to do something about it. So thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Good luck.
You too.
See how it all comes out.
Yes, thank you. Okay, bye.
All right, bye-bye.
An outstretched hand, smiling eyes.